Congratulations! Finally, after all the time, money, and effort you've put in, your property is ready for handover. In this very special episode of the Dubai Real Estate Podcast, we're going to talk about all things snagging, documentation, warranties, and so much more. But before I do, if you're watching this on YouTube, please do subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit the notification bell to stay updated. Your likes and comments are really appreciated. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, please do give us a 5-star rating and review. Spotify listeners, please follow. So now let's cue the music.
Okay, so here we are, as promised, at the fourth and final stage to hear handover.
Yes.
Now, as we approach the finishing line of a property, having selected land, having some designs and plans approved, and having your contractor build it for you, what are you thinking about on behalf of your client in terms of ensuring that they can either move in safely or put this property on market? Who's involved? What kind of approvals are needed?
So look, Raj, once the property is completed, then the consultant would go ahead and apply for something called as a BCC, which is a building completion certificate. When you get a building completion certificate, there are obviously multiple checks by different government authorities, which come in, such as the civil defense, the DIVA, and other authorities, which would come in and check if the property is completed as per the specifications and the requirements of the government, because the Dubai government is also, quite strict and stringent on what is built and the quality of what is being built. So obviously they would come and check. Obviously they have no say in the kind of color or design you want to make. I mean, that is respected, but when they come for the checks, it's more about the safety, security, and all the systems are proper. So there are multiple checks which happen, and then you get something called as a BCC, which is a building completion certificate, which actually says that, okay, this building is now complete, or this villa, whatever, is complete, and you can now occupy it. Obviously, this is from the government's point of view. When it comes to actually physically taking handover and moving into your property, or you're handing it over, say, to a tenant, or you're selling it, there are a lot of things which you need to take care of. First and foremost, and the most important part, is the snagging, right? What does snagging mean? Snagging is basically inspecting the property completely, thoroughly, after it's completed, to make sure that everything is built properly, everything is intact, and you can go and occupy that property.
So what's half a dozen typical snags that you're looking out for?
So you're looking out at everything in the properties, right from whether are all the switches working properly, the lights are proper, the air conditioning is working, the tiling is done properly, there's no paint chippings from somewhere, or any joinery work which is not done properly. Anything which is not fixed properly or not built to what you really want, that is basically you check in snagging. And if there are any issues, the contractor needs to fix it.
Okay, so it could be as simple as, you try to open a door and it doesn't open the whole way because it drags on the floor or something.
Yeah, I mean, it could be anything. There could be something missing, something's pending, cleaning not done properly sometimes, so these things do come up.
What if the snag occurs as a result of something that was subcontracted out?
It's still the main contractor's responsibility to get it done.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are the timelines that they need to turn all this around?
Look, again, it depends on the size of the property.
Yeah.
Sometimes you snag a property, and if the contractor's done a good job, you'll hardly find any snags. Sometimes you find a lot of snags. So depending on how the snags are, also depends on how involved you are in the project. When we are doing a project for the client, obviously we are involved from day one, okay, and obviously we make sure that upon handover stage there are no snags, because that's what we are doing. We're checking continuously, but still sometimes it can happen that some things we miss out on, or something was okay today, but maybe it's not okay 2 weeks down the line, something. So that does happen, but yes, that is something which you need to take care of.
And so once the snags have been addressed, this is the first actual moment where the property is complete as per specification.
Yes.
Is that when the warranty or defect liability period starts, from the first time that everybody approves that at this moment in time the property is ready?
Yes. So what happens is once you take handover, obviously you sign an official document with the contractor that from this date I'm taking over the handover of the property, and from that particular period a defect liability period starts. Also, once the property is ready, you would also go to other authorities such as DIVA, which supplies the electricity and water. So you'll get the electricity and water connection in place, your internet, these things also you need to take care of.
Okay.
Basically the utilities.
And does the government dictate a standard defect liability period, or is it done in negotiation?
It's a standard 1 year defect liability period across Dubai for most of the projects.
Right. If you find yourself having to enforce that or find yourself in conflict with the contractor, what can be done?
So look, for that only, the developer keeps a 10% retention. That if for any reason the contractor doesn't do that, he can use that money to fix it.
And so with everybody in agreement that the property is ready and handed over and free of any snags, not only are you being handed over the keys and not only are you being handed over the responsibility, but I'm sure the intellectual property and the design work behind the property is being handed over to you as well. What documents are handed over from all parties to the owner for the owner to then take responsibility for, and what should the owner absolutely get?
Okay, one thing which any owner in any property should always have is the complete set of drawings. Okay, this is something which is very important. You might not need it today, you might not need it for the next 5 years or 10 years, but you never know when you'll need it. And this is something very important. Why? Because if you want to make any changes to your house or the villa or whatever you're developing, this is a must for any, because once you have this set of drawings, we call them as-built drawings. So whatever's been built on site, you need to have a copy of those drawings with you, so that you want to make any changes in the future, or if anything goes wrong in the future, you need to rectify it, you need these drawings. This is something which is very important. Plus, obviously, you will take care of all the warranties and the guarantees which come along with whatever's gone into the house, such as the air conditioning, the electricals, all these things, they come with certain set of warranties, the kitchen appliances. So that warranties and the guarantees you need to take care from the contractor, because if something goes wrong in that, you can contact the company directly, because the defect liability period could be for 1 year, but say maybe you've bought something, the air conditioning maybe comes with a 5-year warranty. So obviously you want to have that with you. So that is something which is very important when you take handover.
And is there a structural warranty for the building?
The structural warranty for the building is 10 years across Dubai. For anything which is built, the contractor has to provide a 10-year warranty for the structure.
Okay, and outside the handover of contracts and liabilities, are there any other best practices that you recommend that investors and new owners do, or that you do on behalf of your clients?
One thing which we usually do is we get a third party to come and snag the entire property. Because in that what happens is there's a thorough check carried out, sometimes which is not done by us. They take the pictures, they keep everything, also which, something which I always recommend for any new property, anybody before moving in, keep a full set of pictures, videos. Nowadays video is also quite popular, because in the future if you want to sell the property or something, that's something really useful. Get a proper snag done, take a proper handover, have all the documents in place.
Because that could probably be the top tip of this episode, which is that when you first move into your property, it's probably the first time that it's empty.
Yes.
And so a challenge that most people have when they resell is they need to empty the property just to take the pictures. But if you take the pictures in advance of moving your items in, you'll always have this archive of what the building looks like when it's completely empty.
That's also there. Also, it's new, it's fresh. So obviously, it's the best time to get the pictures done.
Brilliant. Okay, well, that's the 4th stage covered. So we
Yes.
talked about, in the previous stages at stage 1, we talked about identifying the land to buy. At stage 2, we looked at bringing in a design consultant and a planning consultant to get it approved. At stage 3, we talked about appointing a contractor.
Yes.
And now at this 4th and final stage, there's handover. Do you come in at just the handover stage? Are you one of the external consultants that can be brought in as a third party, even for projects you've not built?
Not really. We
Okay.
don't do that, because I usually step in either from stage 1 or stage 2. You know, if it is already planned, designed, and all, I feel there's not much I can add value to. If already everything is done, right? So my purpose of Raj getting into a project is that I can add value and make sure the investor makes more money than what he would have done by himself. Because that's where my experience of 20 years comes in. When you say, okay, I've already built, I just want to take Handover and help me in that really, honestly, I can't really do much. You can just call a third party to do a snagging and they'll do it for you. My whole role is to create value for my investors. My role is to make sure what they're investing their money into, they get a good return out of it. So that is where I come into. And also I would just like to add one more point for our viewers and listeners, that in this in these last few episodes where we've discussed all the stages and all, this is on a very generic level, right? Depending on what they want to really build or what their goals are, obviously we can sit down, they can discuss, they can reach out to me, and then obviously it's more like a tailor-made solution for them. All this information which I have passed on is more generic. So if anybody has any questions, they can always reach out to me, and I'm happy to help.
What's the quickest way to get hold of you?
The best way is drop me a DM on any of my social media handles. I am on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn at Tahir Majithia, or drop me an email at tahir@trustedhomesdubai.com.
Great. And if you found yourself on this episode as a result of a search online, please be aware that there is a 7-episode season, which is all about this. And this is the 7th of those episodes.
Yes.
If you want to go back and consume that content from the beginning and learn how you can, as an overseas or as a domestic investor here in Dubai in property, identify some land, get a property built, sell it, move into it, where's the best place to source all that content?
Well, we have a full playlist on YouTube. So if the viewers are watching on YouTube, I would request them to please do subscribe to my YouTube channel, give us the likes and comments. That's, I would really appreciate that. Hit the notification bell to stay updated. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, please do give us a 5-star rating and review. That really helps us getting discovered. And if you're listening to this on Spotify, please do follow for more.
It's been a wonderful second season. Such a pleasure to learn so much about this space. Thanks, Tahir.
Thanks, Raj.